Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. Hallelujah. We've made it through the fasting of Lent, the solemnity of Holy Thursday, the weeping of Good Friday, the waiting of Holy Saturday. We've made it to Easter Sunday morning. As the sun rises on the morning, the stone is rolled away. The tomb is opened. His body is gone. Why? Because he has risen from the dead. Hallelujah. Jesus said that he was God. He said that he would rise from the dead. He said that he came to bring us life. So, prove it. Jesus, if you are who you say you are, if you are God, if you did come to bring us life, if somebody who believes in you, even though he dies, is going to live, come on. How do you expect me to believe you? Prove it. That's what they said to him when he was on the cross, didn't they? If you are the Son of God, come down from that cross. The thieves on the side, or at least one of them. Save yourself if you were the Messiah, and save us too. Prove it. And Jesus said, no sign will be given to this generation except the sign of Jonah. Just like Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish, so too the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. And Jesus Christ, in fact, was in the heart of the earth. He did die. He was buried. And now he's proved it. Now he saved himself. Now the tomb is empty and Jesus is alive forever and ever. The prophets had foretold it. David and Isaiah and Daniel and Ezekiel had prophesied about the resurrection. Jesus was prefigured in Abraham and Isaac, in Jonah, and the firstborn of the Hebrews, and even in some sense of the Egyptians, in the Paschal Lamb whose blood was shed on the first Exodus. All of history was preparing for the moment when God would come to save us. And he did. He came and he saved us. Nobody else can claim that. Nobody else rose from the dead. Peter, on Pentecost Sunday, he's talking to the people and telling them about Jesus. He's preaching the gospel to the people who are in Jerusalem and want to know what's going on. And he said, look, David prophesied that this would happen. And you know where David is? Well, his body is buried in that tomb over there. But Jesus, empty tomb, raised. Not only an empty tomb, though. What else? After the empty tomb, he appears to Mary Magdalene. He appears to Peter. He appears to the 11 apostles. He appears to 500 people gathering at once. And then, by special revelation, even after he ascended into heaven, he appears to St. Paul. Look, he says, look at my hands. Not my hands, his hands. Look at my hands, he says. Look at my feet. Look at my side. Show that I am the one who died for you. Also, do you have something to eat? Let us eat together. Because to show you, I'm paraphrasing. Jesus, let us eat together. Because I have a body, a real body. This is my real body. And this, too, can happen for you. See, that's the promise. Jesus' resurrection isn't only to prove that he's God, but also to bring us into the resurrection. Y'all, this is the promise for us. When Jesus said, the one who believes in me, even though he dies, he will live. He wasn't joking. That was not a metaphor. That's real. So the apostles scatter to the four corners of the earth, preaching. And what is the content of their preaching? What is the key? If you read the Acts of the Apostles, you'll see this. The key in the missionary speeches that they are given to tell people about Jesus is that he rose from the dead. And then they have the courage, all of them, to be subject to martyrdom. They have the courage to give their lives in witness to Jesus. And not just them. A couple hundred years later, two young women, Perpetua and Felicity, are given over to be killed in the stadium, to be put to death while other people watch, just because they were Christians. Each of them had a little baby. They leave their babies, entrusting them to the providence of God, and allow themselves to be killed rather than deny Jesus Christ, because they know that it is Jesus Christ who will raise them up again and who can take care of their families. In Rome, where I am right now, so many people, regular people, soldiers, deacons, popes, priests, bishops, all gave their lives in witness to Jesus. Some of them were girls, like 10, 12, 14, 16-year-old girls who fell in love with Jesus, who wanted to give themselves totally to Jesus, who were denounced for their Christianity, who were denounced for their private consecration that they made to the Lord. These little girls and teenagers were brutally slaughtered because they believed in Jesus, and because in their case, they had given themselves to him to be brides forever, to be married to Jesus. And these girls, went to their death with courage because they knew that God would raise them from the dead. And now, the apostles, Paul, Perpetua, Felicity, these girls, Agnes, Cecilia, Anastasia, Agnes, and all the rest, they're in heaven with Jesus. And when Jesus comes again, their bodies even are going to be raised up to be with him forever. What about recently? Just a few years ago, some Christians in Egypt were rounded up by terrorists and it was demanded that they deny the Lord. But they said no. So they were put into cages and set on fire. All of them died as martyrs, as witnesses, in hope that Jesus Christ would raise them from the dead. In truth, knowing the truth that Jesus Christ has won. That in fact, the one who believes in him, even though he dies, will live. Jesus claimed it. He proved it by his resurrection. Throughout the whole history of Christianity, the Christians have shown, in the whole history of the church, our older brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers in the faith, have shown us faith in the resurrection, that Jesus Christ will give life. So what about us? We must take courage. Some places in the world, maybe people are even watching this on the internet, who are actually in danger for their lives, for your lives, because you're a Christian. Take courage. Stay close to the sacraments. Trust in the grace of your baptism. Stay away from mortal sin. Have hope. For those of us who live in Houma, who are not, or other places who are not in direct danger for our lives, can we be willing to witness to Jesus, even if it costs us something? Can we be willing to tell other people who Jesus is, what he has done for us, and how much we love him, even though it might cost us something? See, part of the joy, part of the beauty, part of the greatness of the resurrection is this hope that we have as Christians. That we can sing Alleluia. Praise God. That's what Alleluia means. Praise God. We can sing Alleluia even in the darkness, even in the difficulty, even in the pain. We can rejoice and be glad. We can sing hymns of praise like Paul and Barnabas did in prison, and like many martyrs have done as they marched to their death, because we know that we know that we know that Jesus Christ will raise us. If we have been baptized, if we are free from mortal sin, no question, no chance, we are certain that we will go to be with the Lord who rose from the dead. So let us rejoice that Jesus is who he says he is. He is God. He has saved us by baptism, by closeness to the sacraments, by daily prayer. Let us live in that salvation, and let us have the courage to sing Alleluia in our hearts, in our actions, and in our words, as we rejoice with the Lord, whether things are good or bad, and as we choose to witness to Jesus Christ, who is risen from the dead.